a team that unfortunately hasn't had the greatest start. Fury, they have gone 2-2, whether you want to read into the overtime loss or not. They have not been as sharp as I guess we had once hoped, Mr. Guz, but I still feel as though they've got well and truly the power to push through this and end top 2.
Yeah, for sure. Again, this is another game where we go in with the expectation that Fury should be fairly dominant. They have, though, as you mentioned, had a couple of intriguing results throughout this stage thus far. Losing to Jalita in playday number 1 was a little bit concerning. We tried to brush that off. Unfortunately, they couldn't match Bleed either, but we know how good Bleed are currently. As far back as the last playday, again, another very close result, although they were able to get it over the line against Direwolves. And also important to note that they actually had their coach standing in for that particular game. So we were actually gravely concerned that Fury could lose some more critical points in that matchup, which wouldn't bode well for their top 2 chance. Fortunately, though, they got all 3 in that game, which goes back to my prior point of maybe Direwolves not really being up to par so far. Keeps them in that top 2 discussion, and a regulation win tonight gives them about a 1 in 3 chance. So an important game to make sure they just get it cleanly done, because if they do push to OT and still win, it does diminish their chances by quite a bit for that first bye in the playoff bracket.
Honestly, that's probably the only part of this conversation I think that really has legs to it, Jake, is ensuring that Fury actually get all points from this and that it's convincing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, they can win and win ugly, and I wouldn't be too worried considering the games that they've got to close, Knock Knock and then Hasib Warriors, right? So you could have a bit of a poor night tonight, win 7-4, 7-5, maybe you don't play your best. I wouldn't be largely concerned going into the playoffs, provided they end up in the 2nd seed. They get to then play a best of 3 against anyone but Bleed, win that, then you're in the grand final, then you're probably well primed. But yeah, you want to be winning, and you want to be winning well, and I think that speaks for pretty much every single team. For them, they got that big response over the last 2 play days when they took down Elevate 7-0 and Direwolf 7-5, because at the start, losing to Jalita, then losing to Bleed, there was question marks over this Fury roster and whether or not they were going to be regarded as that second team, and I think that they should rightfully be probably leading that conversation once again when you take into account who they've beaten and who they've got ahead of them.
Absolutely. Well, who they've beaten, who they've got ahead of them, unfortunately for them, it's Daystar today. I say unfortunately for them. I just like to, honestly, I ride this team. I'm all the way. I'm ride or die with this team, Michael. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about Daystar. It's just got me excited. I mean, look, to be fair, 3 players in the positive for EPS when you look at, they're the second last team in the league. Fury, I think, only had 1 player above a standard 100 EPS. I don't know if that's reading too far into it, but this team still had, I guess, a decent showing.
Yeah, it's definitely important to contextualize those numbers, right? Because Daystar had relatively close results week 1 and week 2. They were both 7-4s, 1 against them and 1-4. In the last week, it fell apart quite dramatically. They had the 1-7 loss against Jalita and then backed that up with another 1-7 loss to Elevate. So it's pretty surprising to see their stats are inflated as high as they are. 3 players above 100 EPS, considering they've had quite one-sided affairs, is a little bit perplexing, to be completely honest. Obviously, they hijack and Oro far behind the mark at the moment, unfortunately. So we need to see Daystar collect themselves as a unit. But they have shown, I think, some good resilience throughout the stage. And it was always going to be tough for them. They've been thrown into the deep end a little bit here in Asia, and it's a learning experience for them. And tonight is going to be another good tester.
Yeah, by the way, always Jack. So 6-man roster for Daystar was in Jack and Cotley. Jack was last week, I think, if I recall correctly, and didn't have the best of starts, admittedly. I'm not too sure exactly the reason regarding, whether they swap in due to performance based or whether it's like IRL issues. But it's interesting for KZB, Neon, and Momerins that they're all above that 1.0 rating or 100 EPS. What's even more interesting is Neon actually has a +5 entry as well, 8 and 3. So it's not as if he's just 5-0. He's also getting amongst it. The biggest issue for Daystar is they just don't survive. I think I mentioned this last week, but their survival rates are like 16% across the board. And so therefore they're not really ever going to be in a lot of winning positions because they're just not winning rounds comfortably. If they're winning like clutches. They're winning 1vx's. And so therefore, is that something you can do consistently? Probably not. You're just entirely reliant on these guys to pop off here or there. And as a collective team, I think for Daystar, the biggest thing they can try and improve on tonight is survivability. Play until the end of the rounds, have numbers up. Otherwise, if you're losing players early on, you're just going to fall apart.
Yeah, and guys, your head-to-head for tonight, I9 versus KZB. What's the thought?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at primarily played operators, and as you can see, both I9 and KZB playing Vert, both on attack and arguably defense as well, with the Solace on that half. And you can see they're actually quite evenly matched in that regard. KZB actually edging out with cost, so a little bit more consistent. 55% for I9 is a little bit concerning. Now, obviously, on that Vert role, you can alleviate some of that pressure because you're doing other work elsewhere. That doesn't necessarily show up on the scoreboard, but yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on these two. Again, they're not really going to be the big star players in the match, but the groundwork that they're able to achieve can be quite important. And in fact, actually for KZB, at least on CGG rating, he actually is leading his team at the moment. So he'll probably be a little bit more influential than I9 in this match, but yeah, certainly keeping an eye on both of them going head to head.
And just a reminder, throwing back to week one for those that were here and watching, KZB actually started out quite horribly to the stage. Didn't really get going in their first play day, but we did have word from behind the scenes that KZB will be the player to look out for going ahead for Daystar. Maybe just, nerves. You do play against some of the biggest teams that you really have in Asia. So this is a great opportunity to go up against one of the greatest in I9. Let's go ahead and start talking about the vetoes. Jake, I mean, realistically, again, I don't know if I want to sugarcoat it too much, but I don't know if it matters what map we really go to. Fury will have the favor.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. Fury's losses coming, though, on Oregon Skyscraper leads me to believe I think they're going to get to something a bit more open, and well, I don't think that is the case. We do go to Skyscraper, so redemption time. In fairness, they did lose this out to Bleed of all teams, and actually found 3 attacking rounds in the first half against Bleed. Looked good to begin, did Fury, so maybe a chance at redemption for them. Bank got banned out first, by the way, as that's a map we have not seen so far in the Asia League. The only other one is actually Nighthaven Labs, also banned out by Fury, so I'm not sure if that's a case of poor map pull or just wanting to hide particular maps. For 2 maps, I guess it's region wide, but yeah, so far it's been the Chalet show. 6 times played, we get it banned out at the last second by Daystar. We'll head to Skyscraper, which will now, after this game, be the second most played map for 3 plays.
Yeah, which is wild because Chalet is just so far ahead of the actual meta at the moment in Asia. It's 6 times we've seen that over the last 4 play days. We can't get away from it. Guys, concerning signs at all?
I mean, the only thing I'll note is that Daystar, again, those last 2 losses that they had, the 1-7 backed up by the other 1-7, Jalita, Elevate, they both took place on Chalet. And in fact, the game before all of those, their only win for the stage thus far was back on Skyscraper. As mentioned, though, you guys contextualized it pretty well. Both maps are very, very popular here in Asia, so it probably doesn't subvert expectations all that much. I will just note, though, KZB listed as MVP in that matchup, so expecting him to do well here on Skyscraper.
All right, well, we are ready to rumble. We'll go across to Devin Manning to run you through Skyscraper.
Hello and welcome to the show. Thank you very much, Rob. Yes, this should be a real solid game, but a tough one for Daystar. Mandy, there's no doubt that Fury are the favored team here, the back-to-back champions from last year. Their form hasn't been fantastic. They could potentially ride and cruise a fair few easier matches throughout the rest of their stage in order to guarantee themselves the top 6, but that remains to be seen. As for Daystar, just looking for their first big win over one of these big top teams. Of course, they've only got a single win thus far over Knock Knock, but taking down Fury here would be an amazing upset for Daystar.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Daystar have just had this goal of coming into the league and trying to look as competitive as possible. At the moment, it hasn't really shown that much on the scoreboard, but I think they've got some good ideas cooking in the backgrounds. But honestly, I think the desk has phrased it pretty well for Fury. It's pretty hard in this league if you're not one of the top 4 teams to not qualify for playoffs. It is a rather evenly split league right down the middle of your top 4 teams and your bottom 4 teams, and I think the distinction is quite clear. So for Fury at this stage to not be able to make playoffs, I think it would be pretty shocking.
Yeah, very true. But a loss to Daystar here would certainly make things difficult. Fury started their reprisal in this stage with their 7-0 over Elevate just last week. Then they got a good 7-5 over Direwolves. Last week was hell in a cell for Daystar, though. 2 7-1 losses to Jalita and Elevate, and this game is not going to be too much easier. However, starting on attack, I don't know, historically you would say that would make things even more difficult for Daystar. That said, Mandy, I had a look at the stats for Skyscraper in Asia League so far, and it's actually a dead 50-50. That is with a fairly small sample size of only 22 rounds, but I would like to have some hope for Daystar here on Skyscraper. Of course, they did take down Knock Knock on this map, And let's see if they have done their prep to take down Fury.
I'm trying to think realistically for Daystar, what's their opportunity looking like to actually make that top 6 and then go into playoffs? And I think it's fairly possible for them in this stage. They're currently sitting in that 6th place position, as I understand it. Not only that, but they've got her Seed Warriors at some point during the last couple play days as well. I think it's the second last to last play day that they've got them. So I think there's certainly this opportunity here for Daystar to try and collect up that 6th place. And I think in these matches like this against Fury, which are such titans of the region for these guys, it's probably going to be more about closing the gap in the round difference than it is about claiming the win. If they can claim the win here, it would be pretty miraculous and amazing, especially against Fury, who are, of course, SI attendees. But I think realistically for Daystar, it's continuing to be focused on the process and trying to look competitive.
Yeah, very much. Well, we know Skyscraper's a solid map for them, and for Fury, kind of the opposite. Of course, Fury have lost this map, but as Jake said on the desk, Fury had a really solid go of Skyscraper against Bleed. And even though they only won 4 rounds, they looked very solid in that game. Now, Fury starting on the defense, they're actually going to change things up a little bit, Mandy. We usually see Tyrion Karaoke first up. It's Exhibition Office to kick things off. And, well, the Azami's been banned out, the Fenrir has been banned out, so it does restrict a lot of the very powerful operators on this map. But the Mira has made her appearance. Despite getting a little bit of a nerf at the end of last year, she seems to be as popular as ever.
I think she's still part of that, like, pool of really strong defenders where as long as you have it in, you still need to bring something on the attack to deal with it. Now, yes, you don't necessarily need to bring in a ranged hard breach anymore. You can just bring along one of the operators that can drill into a wall, like an Ash or a Kali or something like that to go and deal with it. But yeah, I feel like Mira, in her instance, even though she has been nerfed, is a little bit more consistent to deal with, and that's about it, really. It's still worth bringing along. It doesn't look like Fury have gone for that much of an extension across the map in terms of roaming. They're just sort of sitting back on the bomb site, playing the trick game off the back of I9 on the Bandit. Not only that, but they've got the Mew to go and support that as well. And that's going to allow Daystar all this control over from the other side of the map. Now, the Monty's going to help out a lot in this scenario because it means those long lines of sight aren't going to be as good for the defense, especially when you've got a big Monty shield protecting you. And that's where Crit J is currently sitting at the moment, trying to capitalize on those angles.
Crit J does have that Elamine still in pocket. He comes across that Monty. Seems like there's been a solid read here for Fury. They've moved some of their util. Here comes the first Elamine. It does knock Hijack shit away for a brief moment, and he gets funneled into a goo mine as well. So, yeah, here's another goo. Quite awkward for him, really. A lot of traps to slow him down, and this has been quite a slow push. Crit J now changing a reinforcement, reinforcing over that rotating Geisha, and here come the initial picks. Dark and BG, man, find both of theirs. No response as of yet from Daystar, as the man advantage is now furthered. Finally, something for Neon, but he will need to do a lot more than that. He's really feeling the pressure. All these angles available to the defense. Momo does find one pick below and looks to regroup now. But things are not looking too hot here for Daystar. 2v3, though, is potentially possible. Bit of vertical play from the Bark. Hard to see how Daystar get back into this. And realistically, with Momo looking for this lurk, it needs to be on the back of some kind of frag, and really it's on Fury to make sure they're not giving up any ones. The Fuser is still outside on that balcony. I don't think either of these Daystar players will get into position to be able to fetch that and look for a plan. As the bulletproof camera pings out Momo's location, this is very awkward. Of course, a mirror window stopping him from moving any further forward. I gotta feel like this round is all but over. 25 seconds to play as Fury can simply wait for the onslaught to come through. Daystar desperately looking for something, but no kills will be gifted. No unnecessary plays from the Fury roster. And EMP is not going to deal damage, and Fury will not be baited. What a crossfire. 3 ways from Fury, and Crit J farms the final players. In the end of the day, it was quite a formal and easy round for Fury.
All right, yeah, there we go. Solid one for Fury there on the defense. I think just holding out onto the bomb site. Daystar, I think, taking a lot of time to go in for the sweep across the map, and then by the time they actually had hit the bomb site, they struggled a lot at getting themselves back in again. I think you might have lost me there for a little bit, Deb. But alas, I am back on the broadcast. Yeah, we are all good now, I think. So,
G'day.
cool, awesome. Yeah, I
Love
think
that.
Fury looked pretty solid in that one. I think by the time that the Monty had actually made his way in towards the bomb site, there was just such a lack of time for them to be able to capitalize on the sweep. It ended up being pretty one-dimensional in the end. They just needed to hold onto the crosses coming over from that Dragon and Terrace side of the map. It's pretty easy crossfire when it's pretty linear attack, and I think ultimately for Fury, they looked very comfortable in that defense.
Yeah. Indeed. I wonder if the Monty is going to be a regular occurrence. 20 seconds for it to be picked off of, and as I say that, Hijack decides to go at the ace instead. I don't know how I feel about this Monty, Mandy. I love the shield rework. I love the way that it's really enabled very good Monty players to play it in a way that I think is a little bit less gambly compared to the old way where you could like hip fire and stuff. But I don't know if I feel like it's the magic ingredient against Fury. Like the number of traps these guys are bringing is so oppressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd have to agree with you on that. I feel like Monty's got to be one of those tried and true, tested types of operators. You got to be playing a lot of scrims, and I think be really developed on that to play, you know, alongside of the intel that comes through. And I think for Daystar, in their experience and probably how long they've actually been playing at this tier 1 level, I think it can be a bit tricky to play around. Whereas I think for your more developed teams, it is a little easier to develop the ideas around it. Oh, there we go. Okay, Lycolis is going to jump straight out onto Hijack, who I think was placing a Claymore down just on that double window, and Lycolis must have heard him take him out, and yeah, absolutely just went for that jump out. Yeah, the Claymore activating after he did that jump out,
That
so
is
just
so
finding him in the
funny.
nick of time. That's pretty crazy from Lycolis.
I can't believe he jumped in before the Claymore lasers activated, because that means that the ace managed to like put down the Claymore, but there's like 1 second, half a second before the lasers activate. Puts down the Claymore, dies, and then Lycolis is already in before the lasers go out. That is just unreal. That is... I gotta say, I'm loving the more aggressive Lycolis we've seen these last few playdays, right? Like, he even said it was the last game where they've had to play with a sub. He decided to just go all in and play hyper-aggressive, and it seems like Daystar are not ready for this. That was a long angle, actually, from BG, man, up above. Daystar are sadly looking just far outpaced at the moment in this game.
It looks like Daystar wanted to go for something direct onto the bomb site here in Karaoke in Tea Room, but it didn't quite work out for them. First of all, the jump out, not only that, but Neon trying to get control down below wasn't cautious enough of the vertical line of sight that BG Man had from the hatch. Not just that, but all the construction that's come down from the defense as well does mean that a lot of this ground floor isn't as safe as Daystar probably think it is. Nevertheless, Neon is going to be picked up, and he is the buck, so he can make full use of that skeleton key. But with a lot of caution, right? Because I9 is here right on the other side. He's got a line of sight inside of the room adjacent to him as well, and one onto the top of the back stairs. So it's pretty dangerous here for Daystar.
I9's in a great position. He's playing the perfect operator. He has been flashed out, though. Is there an opportunity to capitalize on the timing? It doesn't look like it. He can continue to use the smokes. Dark is also supporting, detonating that Vulcan canister at that external door. Time is bleeding. Daystar don't have a way to capitalize on this position of I9. He's sitting there ready with SMG-11 in hand. Daystar looking very unknown as BG Man swings and finds another. I9's now getting aggressive down below. He knows about this Bucks position. Daystar have done just about nothing. Neon's gone down all up to KZB on the balcony. And yeah, there ain't nothing that he can do. There's no chance. He's just out here. 1 versus 5. Try and get at least 1 kill. Come on. Oh, there you go. There's the feed. At least he gets the KD up, but that's all he will find. Fury can very easily win that on time.
Yeah, well, yeah, solid one there for Fury. They completely shut down the idea that Daystar went for. Honestly, once again, they've looked comfortable 2 rounds in a row now in the defense of Skyscraper. That time around, Daystar tried to change things up. They didn't want to go for a sweep, instead trying to go for something more direct, but that was completely well read by Fury on the other side. They were totally ready for that off the back of the jump out, the vertical. They held on for a long time with the combination of the Goyos and the smokes over on the back stairs as well, which of course, when you are doing a direct take, that is the main choke point for you to be able to translate your push from the ground floor upstairs again, right? So holding on to that power position for as long as they could with the utility that was on board was really all that Fury needed to do to waste the time and secure the round.
So Daystar 2 rounds in. Both of them have been pretty pitiful, to be frank. What do they do with that tactical timeout? Obviously, ED, their coach, former captain of Direwolves from quite some time ago now, made his return. He will be speaking to the guys, and I don't know, like, where to begin, Mandy? Because just so much was going wrong with Daystar. Like, you're getting jumped out on You're getting shot through angles, through hatches that you're not aware of. There's so many minute things. It's not like Daystar can even get to the point of their planned push.
That's a good question. That's a pretty early tactical timeout to be taking as well. Now we know that ED is on the line there, and so they phoned in a friend and they've realized, okay, we need some help. And in my opinion, for Daystar, this is probably attention to detail, I think, is the big thing here. A lot of their ideas are like, you know, on like a big picture level, probably not that bad, but the execution of those ideas isn't done so well. And in a game like Rainbow Six, where if you're not paying a lot of attention and your execution isn't great, it can really punish you. And I think, yeah, especially on a map like Skyscraper, where every step of the way of the attack, like literally every single stage of the attack is so tricky, you can't just be letting go of small details and making silly mistakes. So I think ED to go back and compose these guys again and say, just watch out, have a real think about what you're doing and being more cautious about it. It's probably important here for Daystar.
Yeah, I think that'll benefit a lot, particularly on this bomb site, right, Mandy? Because Fury have just won the 2 really defender-sided bomb sites on this. Now they go to Kitchen Barbecue, historically, very attacker-sided, is the tertiary site after all. Daystar, the way that you lose a round that's on an attacker-favored bomb site is from aggression or being susceptible to those kinds of plays that we saw Daystar fall to last round. So if they can reel themselves in a little bit, they should, in theory, have a pretty solid chance this round, and they do need to build that momentum because in the next 2 rounds, Fury are going to go back to the primary and secondary bomb sites. So in order to avoid like a 5-1 potential half, I think Daystar actually needs to capitalize on this tertiary bomb site.
Daystar look like they're changing their approach a little bit as well. So they haven't fully dedicated themselves to one side of the map or the other. It just looks like they're trying to probe out some of these weaknesses in the defense. So, for example, that Flores drone going out in the castle early on, all the way over in reception, that's going to allow a point of entry later on in the rounds once they go and translate their push into the ground floor. So what they're doing is just preparing themselves for the execute a little bit further in advance. Meanwhile, though, Momorin is going to rappel himself up to the top floor, so is Jack, so is the rest of the team. So they're going to try and converge on these remaining roamers in the top floor, try and flush them out of these vertical power positions before they can enter into the bomb site.
Well, they know about this guy in Karaoke. BG man here. Scope in hand. He knows that there's likely a player behind that Monsi. Critche is actually dancing around ready to support. Manages to get out of Karaoke, so ceding some control, but still looking to hold on to this top floor. Critche seemingly aware of a lurk happening. I believe Momorin's moved in from Samurai. I mean, I don't mind this from Daystar, but it's very slow. Like, all this control has been given up by Fury, and yet they still haven't capitalized yet.
There's still a few players here on the top floor for Daystar if they want to try and deal with this. I like this backstab going on from Neon as well. I don't think they actually know that he's there, and he could be catching Critche off guard here, all the way in the back of Tea Room. There goes I9, who's just been down from a cutoff all the way on the rappel on the ground floor, and that could potentially open up the bomb site here.
Unfortunately for Daystar, though, they're starting to lose this roam game. Now, I9 has been confirmed, and yes, there is a threat onto the bomb site. Hijack marches on in. There's a player upstairs watching Karaoke. That'll deny any vertical angles, but what can BG Man do here? He can still potentially deny the plant through the vertical angles. He spots the Monty and takes him down. The diffuser on the ground, and things fall for Daystar. Another player hits the dirt, and finally Dark finishes the round off. Fury completely happy and satisfied with Daystar taking map control, taking the site, because Fury can mop it up in a retake.
I could see what the thought process was there for Daystar. They realized that they'd capitalized off getting a pick onto the ground floor inside of the bomb site. That was the only anchor that was there, and they thought, oh cool, the bomb site's free now, it's unguarded, let's just go for it. And not only that, but they'd managed to flush out the play inside of Karaoke as well in the meantime. So that at that point, you're thinking that's a good opportunity for them to actually get inside of the kitchen, or inside of the room adjacent to the kitchen rather, then go get the bomb down. But by the time they'd made that decision and made that happen, the rest of Fury were able to go back and retake inside of Karaoke and then play that line of sight. So I like the way of thinking for Daystar, but probably not thinking a step far enough ahead. At that point, you probably need to leave someone upstairs, play that cutoff, actually anticipate that retake to come on through if you want that strategy to go and work and try and get the bomb down on that bomb site, right? But Fury finding a lot of space on the retake in the top floor essentially allowed them to just shut it down from above completely. Bullets are raining down from above, and it was all just over for Daystar.
Yeah, and I don't know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Mandy, but I don't know how Daystar get back into this. They've used their tactical timeout, they've attacked a tertiary bomb site we need to see a radical change for them to have a shot here. Yeah, Skyscraper's defender sided, but the stats don't lie. 50-50 so far in the Asia League. You really expect Daystar to have some success here. And now they're going and attacking Fury's best 2 bomb sites. In order to avoid a 5-1, they're going to have to really fire up here. And I just haven't seen enough from them yet.
Yep.
This is probably one of their roughest games so far, I'd hazard a guess.
I would have to agree with you on that, right? Like, the maps that they've played before this, essentially like Chalet, Chalet, and Chalet, right? So that's a completely different map to be attacking compared to Skyscraper. On Chalet, it's one of the maps that you could argue is almost attacker-sided because of how easy it is to get into the map. There are so many cutoffs that you can play. There's a lot of good entry points. Once you get in the map, hard reach is not like that much of a necessary evil. There's just a lot of options for the attack on Chalet, right? Whereas on Skyscraper, every single step of the way is challenging. There are not that many good entry points. Once you get inside of the building, so many choke points that are hard to cross over because a lot of the walls on the inside aren't destructible for soft reach. It's quite a challenging map in every single form. And for Daystar starting out on the attack on Skyscraper, they just don't look very strong. And I think that Fury just feels so comfortable in the server right now.
Yeah, you know how comfortable? Comfortable enough to do the full round the world tour and go to a 4th different bomb site in 4 rounds. So Master Bedroom and Bathroom has been chosen here, and Daystar, even then, like half the round is gone. And they've made fairly humble progress thus far. We've got Jack on this lurk, but he has a drone ahead of him, but he's worried about a flank. And I mean, Fury is pretty much just battering down on the bomb site with a little bit of control above, and Momo Rin's gone down. So I don't know what to say. Daystar, this is the bomb site you should be winning. If not Kitchen Barbecue, it's got to be here. Even the lurks are being countered here by the Legion. I9 has found his 1 pick. Jack really needs to find a reply.
This is a tough one here for Daystar. Yes, they've taken up half the map, but this is the point where Skyscraper kind of comes into play and punishes you with all these really hard choke points to go and handle. I9 here is pretty safe in his position, and I don't think Daystar know that he's there. Meanwhile, oh wait, hang on, Critche is all the way in the top floor. He's just tried to retake Mezzanine. That's pretty aggressive. KCB punishes him.
After this round has been people pulling out goo mines. BG Man does trade. Now, BG is no longer covering I9, and there was a drone on I9. So, I don't know why Jack isn't just going for the swing. Because it looks like I9 is tempted to go for the flank. BG, he's come to support. It's a freebie. Oh, it just goes from bad to worse. The Daystar 2 versus 4. Neon has finally taken control above, but 20 seconds to go. And never mind, that control was a mere illusion. Dark is still hiding upstairs and finds him. Hijack is sitting outside the building with 14 seconds to go. And there has never been an inkling in this game that Daystar was looking like they could win a round. And now Fury have won 4 different bomb sites. Hijack, yeah, keep on farming that KD. It doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Fury lock in the full tour, 4 different bomb sites, 4 convincing rounds won.
It's pretty grim, isn't it, Dev? Hey, it's not looking good, especially in that last round. I felt like that last round was the most unconvincing one we've seen from Daystar so far. Yeah. At least in the round prior to that, it looks like Daystar had a plan and they were trying to execute it. In that last round, they looked pretty lost. And frankly, Fury just knew exactly what was going on. Now, whether it was game sense, whether it was intel, or whatever it was, maybe the goo mines just telegraphed the entire round that you pointed out pretty astutely through the mid-rounds. Fury just knew exactly what was going on, and they feel so confident at the moment that it's just flowing through them, and they just decide to pick their battles against Daystar, who just do not look ready at all for the re-aggression from Fury.
Yeah, look, Fury are back into it. Remember the very first play that they were playing Jolita, they got match point and then lost 6-8 on Orican. Like, that was a huge upset in its own right. Last year, Jolita, back when they were under the no-cap 6 banner, they really struggled. It was quite uncharacteristic considering the pedigree of the players on that roster, and they took a win over Fury. We started to worry. We thought, oh, you know, is this not the Fury that were double back-to-back champions last year? And then they went and lost to Bleed as well. Now, that was a little bit less surprising, but still concerning based on the fact that Fury historically do have a pretty solid head-to-head against Bleed. We finally saw Fury get back in form, 7-0ing Elevate. Now, a lot of people would have picked Elevate in that game. And they had a good win over Direwolves, and now this could be almost as much of a convincing win as we saw in the Elevate game. Like, Fury have not even broken a sweat as of yet, and Daystar, it's grim signs. They've been 7-1 2 play days in a row, and it looks like it could be a third.
Yeah, I mean, my bro Lycolis is 4-0-0 at the moment. Like, that is pretty, yeah,
He's
damn,
gnarly,
you know.
this guy.
This guy is supposed to be your support player, sitting on the bomb site, playing the anchor. He gets an attack, he plays Thermite. Lad is 4-0-0 right now. That's like, damn, that's a big change for Fury. And yeah, everyone looks super comfortable at the moment. The only person going negative at the moment is I9. It's probably because he's been the more aggressive player and it is allowing Daystar to get some exit frags late on in the round. But like, essentially, every single player of Fury right now just flowing with confidence. Yeah, here goes I9 again, who is looking for blood once again. Oh, I think he's just gone straight past a player. Neon is inside the bathroom, sitting right next to the bathtub on a drone, and he's just watched him go past him. I9, brother. Not good. It's not good.
To be fair, 2 of I9's deaths have been feeding in like 4v1s. So
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
He's
he's
giving
getting a
them the
little bit.
exits.
He's given them the exit frags, which might, you know, buffer a little bit of confidence. Like, it's the only reason why KZB is currently going positive is because of exit frags. But yeah, that wasn't an exit frag. That was an opening kill that I9 just got a little bit complacent. But Daystar have mostly, like, they haven't had very well-formed pushes. They have doing a lot of lurking and a lot of waiting for players to walk into their lines of sight. However, it is starting to work. Yeah, 5v3, a lot of damage, but the shotty does not confirm the kill on Lycolis. However, BG Man's gone down. Lycolis cannot hold up, and Daystar finally win the first round of the match.
Damn, they won one. That's exciting. What did they do to win that one? Is a good question,
Just
Dev.
held down lines of sight and waited for players to walk into it.
Yes, I don't want to be too brutally honest about that, but Fury, come on, guys. You know, like, yeah, that's a bit ambitious, I think, to sit there in the ground floor and try and take the fights onto them straight away. Daystar are still players, and they can shoot back at you, believe it or not. So, yeah, I think Daystar being essentially gifted that one, I think. Like, they found the 2 on the ground floor. From then on out, it was pretty easy to translate it into the top floor as well. The one sole anchor in between the bomb sites, I think it was BG Man, died on the bomb site in a crossfire as well. So, yeah, Daystar able to convert a man advantage. Honestly, pretty good. Pretty good. Very happy.
Yeah. Oh, if they can keep that up, then that's great. Of course, the onus is on Fury to stop playing. So, I don't know what the word is. I don't know if I want to say aggressively. I just think that, like, you know, don't make moves if you don't have to, Fury. Like, don't overcommit. Don't assume that there are not people sitting in a lot of these spots, because Daystar really have just spent a lot of time like getting a player into the building and just like holding a line of sight or lurking around. And if Fury plays to kind of counter lurk a little bit more rather than playing into their hands, then Daystar will struggle, because we haven't yet seen Daystar tested at like the actual like converting like a 5v5 execute. We've only really seen them have success by lurking for picks. So at least for Daystar, it's the first round they found. It's the first little inkling, the glimmer of hope. Let's see if they can capitalize that and cap off the half with their second attack.
Monty's an interesting idea to bring back for Hijack, especially with the prevalence of Lesion at the moment. I'm a little nervous to see what Hijack is able to achieve with this one, but nevertheless, we'll see how it all pans out. Does look like they are looking to go for a direct in into this karaoke and tea room bomb site. Oh, is that a trick on the other side from BG Man? Why did only half that Selma go off? Oh, because the EMP reactivated. I mean, like the EMP effect is down. So the baby EMPs only last, what is it, like 4 seconds total?
I'm not sure
And
exactly
so
how long they last.
I actually can't remember the exact time, but by the time the second half of the Selma was going to go on the wall, it actually reactivated the bandit charge that had been baby EMP prior to that. So this is only a line of sight now for KZB. Now, if you want to make Monty work, you can't just have a line of sight. You need to have a walk-in hole. And with only one Selma charge left, it's a little tricky, which is probably why Hijack is completely rotated off that instead, and then going to go to the top of backstairs.
There's a Vulcan canister here. There's smoke. It's not easy. I9 is going to blow... Oh! Oh my god, I thought he was going to blow the Goyo, but it doesn't matter. He's blown Jack's head off. Now attempted to get aggressive on the Monsi. Gotta be careful here. The Monsi can win the fight in a close-range engagement. I9's gone down, but Dark is there to come and support. So,
jeez.
Yeah, easy for Fury in the end. Good job getting nice and aggressive on that Monsi. And poor Hijack was left all alone. Now up to Momo, Rin, and KZB. And Fury are just having a laugh at the minute, like even tempted to get aggressive and swing this guy on the window again. Both of these Daystar players just looking for picks, but I don't expect they'll get much.
This is pretty grim to watch, Sev. I don't know what you think about this one, or whether you would agree or not, but it's pretty tough. It feels like at this point, Daystar are getting locked out of the map almost in its entirety. I mean, not being able to get walls open, not being able to make an entry. I don't actually think any one of these 3 players that have died on Daystar have actually died on the interior of the building, right? Or they've barely died on the interior of the building or something like that. So yeah, I think for Fury, they just look in their element right now. They're willing to play these runouts, jumping out of windows, even though there are nomad charges there, because Daystar just don't look composed on Skyscraper.
And these goo mines have been so frustrating to deal with. Okay, here's a big one. Okay. So
not
if
again.
5v2 becomes a
happening again.
3v2, it is happening again, but there might not be enough time in the bank here for Daystar. Running straight through the smoke. Dark will take him down. KZB's low HP. And the 5-1 half is confirmed for Fury. Game face is on. They've barely even broken a sweat.
Yeah, this was pretty tough for us to watch here. I think Fury look like they're absolutely in their element. They just know exactly what's going on in the server. It's pretty telegraphed, I would say, from Daystar as well, and they've got a lot of ways to deal with it, especially having your combinations of like your Goyos, your Lesions, your Smokes. It's not really something that a Monty will feel comfortable pushing into. That, or you need to play the Monty micro really well, where you're able to actually bait out that utility from happening through the early rounds, so you can then push on through the mid round. It's all been wasted. But Daystar don't look super competent in being able to do that, and I think Fury have just been able to sit there, wait for the time to tick down. That round literally went down to the last second or so for Daystar to actually be able to even get up the stairs into the bomb site. So yeah, Fury just look totally in control right now.
Actually, the second round that ended thanks to the timer. I don't know what that says about Daystar. They're very slow, and as soon as they meet some kind of obstacle, if it doesn't go their way, which, by the way, there was only one round that Daystar found the open half. They just stall out and they don't really form up a push. It's rough because they also took their tactical timeout so early, right, Mandy? You know, 3rd round in, they lost that even. They lost 2 tertiary bomb site rounds. Fury now moving on to the attack, and the only, I guess, glimmer of hope here for Daystar is the fact that now they have moved on to the favored side. But it could very well be the case that Fury ends up giving Daystar their first 7-1 loss.
Going in.
Sorry, their 3rd 7-1 loss, 3 play days in a row. But as you've said, I9, tip of the spear, he's making this very quick.
Yeah, they look confident, and they look like they're doing something pretty direct here as well. Monty and Osha, so double shields on board, and this is just hijack.
Nice!
Oh, that was great from I9 and BG Man together. From Dark together, using the Zofia to actually animation cancel the clash shield, and then being able to shoot them in the legs. That's hijack going down super early on, all on his lonesome, no one there to support him at all. That means that I9 has got free reign completely on the buck down here to play the vertical as he pleases. Not just that, but BG Man and Crit J as well on the double shield. Operators can start making the way in through this top floor too. Completely uncontested so far. Nades being sunk in through, but really this is looking like a fairly decent position here for Fury.
Very much so. They've got the numbers advantage. They've taken down one of the most frustrating operators that could have stalled out the Monty. Oh, interesting. The Tubarow's actually trying to lock the Monty in place. Funnily enough, it does. I don't know if that actually affects the Vulcan canister at all, but anyway, Neon has found a really nice angle and taken down Lycolis. That's a big player to take down. No pressure on the window now. Does make things a little bit awkward. I don't know what BG Man's play is here. Clearly, they're trying to execute into karaoke eventually, but got to deal with this player in Geisha.
I think they've got info on the player inside of karaoke, which I believe can be vertical from down below from I9, but they've decided not to go for that, and I think that player's full enough from that position regardless. Never mind, Dark and I9 are going to try and rejoin up with Crit J, who's on the Monty, who's going to try and allow them some safe passage into the bomb site. There is a rotation hole inside of B going from the top of the back stairs. They've caught out the flank as well of Momo Rinse. If they can translate it from here, it'd be good. KZB, though, is down below as well, and he's caught out BG Man on a backstab.
It's actually a full rotate, a full flank. 2 players still downstairs. That does open the door. Daystar C4 misses. And I9 forcing that plant down with Dark on flank watch and Crit J on entry with the Monty. It's going to make this very difficult now for Daystar. 3v2 advantage. KZB finds one, but is traded on back through the vert. All up to Neon now. Great gun in his hands, but I9 is simply better. Fury, at the drop of a hat, have found match point.
That was a bit of a scary round there for Fury, especially with all the flanks that came through in the mid-round from Daystar, but they converted that one I think with confidence and composure in the end there, they dealt with the flanks pretty well. Yes, they had to throw some bodies at the problem, but they made the trades work in their favor. And because they realized that so much of Daystar had vacated the bomb site, that allowed I9 safe passage in through the rotation hole, back behind the bomb, and finding a safe place to get the diffuser down as well. So Fury capitalizing on the opportunities that had been granted to them midway through the rounds, and then converting it from then on. The retake wasn't successful for Daystar, despite a pretty valiant effort on the flanks going down there in the ground floor. So nevertheless, Fury, look, will continue to reign terror in the server at the moment. 6-1 for these guys on the attack, and it doesn't look like anything can stop them.
Yeah, I want to know who cursed Daystar, but this could very well be their third 7-1 in a row in this league. It was Jalita first that smacked them about and then Elevate, and now this game has been quite a one-sided affair. Fury looking very much themselves. The only round they lost was, quite frankly, a throw, Mandy. I think we can both agree on that. Like, I don't know what Fury were doing on that exhibition defense, but well, let's see Daystar's defense of this bomb site. Let's see if they've got the confidence to commit to some of this aggression. Let's see if they can find Fury's number. Let's see if they can find some early picks. I like this from Momo. He's looking for an early run out, but may not find anything.
A bomb has been located.
From the lineup that Fury have got, it does indicate to me that they are looking for something direct into the bomb site here as well, of Exhibition and Office. They don't quite have the right operating lineup to go for a sweep here, and instead are going to lean into this Glaz setup. Thermite as well is going to open not only the breach, but the wall adjacent to that to try and deal with the mirror as well, that type of thing. So they really need to just sit here, bide their time, and work the bomb site slowly. There's not going to be a trick on the other side from the Bandit of Neon, so this single housing wall is going to get opened up nice and early, and that's going to allow a cutoff and prevent players from playing inside of Office, but most importantly, playing inside of Dragon as well.
I wonder what the intention is for the Glaz here of Critjay. There are only 2 smokes in the lineup, and it's just on Mykolis's Monty. Some of the mirrors have been spotted. Good drone work early. Fury just poising outside the bomb site. Not overcommitting to anything as of yet. I'm not sure why they're not concerned about the run-out spot as well. Critjay went for that pick there. Oh, here's I9 down below. Easy opening pick. He has the read, but there are 3 players hunting him down. Dark's able to find a trade, but immediately traded back again. The entire of Daystar went hunting. And that does tell Lycolis that maybe there's a chance that he can get in. He's got to be careful. The electrification will spell death for him. He goes for the sprint. He's going to take down Jack. In fact, BG Man finds the headshot there. 2v2. Numbers even again. Fury looking very solid. BG Man has the long line of sight. Lycolis has the diffuser. A missed shot. A flash might be the cover that Lycolis needs. Jumping on inside. A bit of damage done. Is he able to cover his teammate now? A flashbang may enable this plant. All Fury needs for now, but no, instead.
Oh, they're going hunting.
Look to go aggressive. One impact is a big threat. BG Man almost gets the angle he needs. The second player from Daystar is ready and waiting. BG Man just holding the line as the plant is going down. Daystar have to make the first move, and they do. Lycolis is down. BG Man. 1v1. Low HP for the game. So he relocates a drone. His teammates can call off that. And they'll have seen Neon now. They can tell him that he's round in the corner. He fakes it. He reads it. But he doesn't land the shots needed. Both players, 1 bullet from death. Who lands it? Neon needs it to save the game, but Lycolis! Nerves of steel. He lands the shot, and Fury dominates 7-1. Daystar in shambles.
And Fury never looks like they broke a sweat for the entire game. I mean, maybe when they got into that attacking half, they had to do something slightly special to try and get the bomb into the bomb site, but both times able to play the objective. Diffuser got into the bomb site, looking comfortable as ever. Fury can take down Daystar pretty easily on Skyscraper.
A massive win for Fury as they will rocket up the standings and have a very healthy round difference thanks to such a dominant result. Unfortunately, though, Daystar, man, what's going on? That's 3 playdays in a row where they've dropped the ball and not even looked competitive. It really feels like this is a league where we've got 5 teams that can really hang and compete for playoff spots, and then 3 teams at the bottom which are really struggling to fight with the rest. Daystar, immeasurably disappointed, but Fury will be very satisfied as we toss it back to the desk.
Yeah, that's unfortunately I am now well and truly off the bandwagon for Daystar, guys. It's really tough because I am a firm believer in underdogs. I'm a firm believer in the story of the up and coming teams, but unfortunately in that match, I mean, maybe this might be a little harsh for me to say, considering I'm not a caster anymore, I'm not an analyst, but they looked lost.
Yeah, to be fair, Skyscraper is one of those maps where it can really expose you as an attacking unit if you do look a little bit lost or lacking confidence. If you're playing against a good team, it can really expose those weaknesses. And unfortunately, we saw that didn't really flip much defensively. So it's another 7-1 loss for Daystar. That's now back to back 7-1 losses for them. And I mentioned that heading into the day, I thought there was maybe a chance they'd be a little bit competitive, maybe spruiking it a little bit as a potential overtime, which would have been really good for their top 6 chances. Not to be. And now it's pretty much a battle between the bottom 3 as to who's going to make it through to the playoff bracket and who gets left behind.
And Jake, we said at the start of the day, probably the most important part about the standings is the fact that Fury are yet to play the bottom 3 teams of the league. And I mean, if this is a display to go off, I think that we're right back in that top 2 conversation.
Yeah, I think they're going to be peaking at the right time going into the playoffs, being able to take on these teams. They made very short work of Daystar. I'm not surprised. I don't think anyone should be. I did maybe expect Daystar to be a little bit more competitive, but as soon as I got into the green room, first thing I said to guys is Fury defense, Skyscraper, this could be 5-1, and it was. And from there, Fury is just far too experienced. You can't really ever envision that they're going to allow Daystar to get back into that game. So it was really going to be difficult from the onset. Had Daystar started first half defense, they could have at least gotten 2, maybe 3 rounds, and we could have been talking a different story. But yeah, unfortunately for Daystar, I think they are, and we've said this a couple of times, they're in that South Asia bracket, but they are a little bit above South Asia. So it's kind of like South Asia, Daystar, and then the rest of Southeast Asia.
Yeah, it's definitely a clear divide at the moment, top 5, bottom 3. Let's speak to Lycolis to get his thoughts on the matter. Lycolis, look, an interesting game. You guys obviously smashed them. But I want to ask you, what was your read on Daystar coming into today?
We didn't really just like play our own game. We give them a chance to either play, I think it's Chalet or Skyscraper. And how went to Skyscraper. Maybe they have Leo and confident that they could beat that on Sky, so they bring us to Sky. But as soon as another restart on the defense, it was like, okay, it's gonna be easy. Like get more like at least 4 rounds in the game. So yeah, we just play our default defense, and they just most of the round they're just doing like the thing team just did, but it's hard to like attack, right? So how we lose was the round that they have like some plans setting up on office. Other than that, if like default was a default, so we can't come on top. We were just like kind of better on Skyscraper, so easy.
Lycolis, I know you've still got 2 play days to go, but are you and the team looking to do anything different, preparing for best of 3s in the playoffs?
We probably didn't prepare anything fancy for the like incoming best of 1 remaining. Probably gonna perhaps something for the playoff best of 3. At least we want to like go to boot camp coming soon. We could like go there when like we play on playoff, so we could play a more better coordination. Yeah.
Oh, that is, I'm not going to lie, Lycolis, you are breaking up on us. And all I heard was the word boot camp. So I hope that it goes well. Lycolis, usually I'd give you the floor here, but it's cutting up so much. We might actually let you go on this one. We wish you the best of luck in the league, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you tomorrow.
Okay, see you. I hope to again tomorrow.
Thanks, Lycolis.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Wow, I could not hold my laughter in.
That was rough.
I don't know why. There was something about when he first started talking and it started jittering. I was like, oh, maybe it's me because I'm having some internet issues today. And then it just kept going. I was like, no, that's not me. So
I mean-
excuse me for my unprofessionalness,
The
guys.
thing was, like, Hollis was giving some super in-depth answers there. It almost got to the point
I
where where the
know.
interview was going to be longer than the bloody match, and
Yeah,
unfortunately he was
yeah.
lagging out a bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, big confidence builder for Fury tonight, obviously, and for the boys.
Mm.
I wish I had the opportunity actually to ask, how do you actually reflect on this match? Right? Is this a game that you even bother looking back at, or is it just so dominant that you can't just focus forward? I would assume probably the latter, but I don't know what their process would be. But obviously, a big positive for them either way.
I guess, the beautiful part is they've got 2 more games where you're going to be able to ask that exact same question, because
Hopefully.
I cannot imagine a world in which, again, I want to be careful, to not be too harsh, but after what we've just seen Fury do to Daystar, it's hard to imagine a world in which they won't do it to Knock Knock and Hasib Warriors, just given, they are now coming into the better part of their form for the stage, Xenox. It's a little bit scary. I would hedge my bet.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, that's a very easy assumption to make. I think Fury are an incredibly experienced roster. Shake off the cobwebs, then get going has probably been their mantra. Sure, first couple of games wouldn't have been to their liking. A loss to bleed is fine, but they would have liked it to be a little bit more competitive. I mean, even then, 7-4 is not exactly like they got, stomped or anything. And I know T lost to Jalita, and they're having a pretty good stage. It's really not the end of the world. So they've turned their stage around. I think they're peaking at the right time going into the playoffs. Certainly, the way that I envision it's very much looking like it could head down to that Fury versus Bleed for that spot to Manchester. I'd be surprised if it's not that particular game. All depends on seeding, of course, but with the games that Fury have still to play, it is increasingly more likely they will finish second as the tournament goes on.
Yeah, well, they now jump up to 10 points and, still 6 points on the board for them. So it's going to get a little bit interesting in these last 3 play days. But that's all we got time for the first matchup. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, the Asia League continues.